Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm super excited to be back doing another Hogwarts connection video. I know that these are some of the most popular videos on my channel, and you guys really love seeing all of the ways that the modular Hogwarts sets that LEGO has been producing since 2021 can connect together. This year we have like our first official connection method since I think the summer of 2021. It came in the back of the instruction manuals of the summer sets, and it looks freaking amazing, at least in pictures. I'm not sure how much of a headache it's going to be to set up, but we're going to go ahead and try it out. I don't know if I'm going to be doing more connections. I used to try to really mix and match these sets a lot, but to be perfectly honest, it's way too much work. Like, there's so many modules, I can never decide how I want everything to go together, and then I just end up getting annoyed while I'm doing these videos. So I think I'm just going to go with the official LEGO approved connection method, and then I'm only going to do others if I don't like that one, or if it won't fit on my shelf, because that's honestly the bigger problem. I do want to remind everyone that I am an employee of the LEGO Group. However, all opinions expressed in these videos are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the LEGO Group. And LEGO is a registered trademark of the LEGO Group of companies, which does not sponsor, authorize, or endorse this site. So to start off, here are all of the Hogwarts sets that have been produced since summer of 2021, which started with the Chamber of Secrets and kind of Great Hall set, which is all the way at the back there. You can tell what it is. The Great Hall is very recognizable. But we've gotten sets every year since, sometimes multiple times a year. This time we have two new ones. We have the Battle of Hogwarts right in front, which is one of my favorites because it's very architecturally different. The biggest complaint in summer 2021 is that the castle sets were just a flat facade. And I did do a connection video from back then, which you can check out before this one. But LEGO really started improving immediately with the hospital wing and clock tower on the far right. That really introduced some different shapes and a lot of style that kind of broke up the flat facade. And then that continued last summer with Dumbledore's Tower, which is that second big tower on the right. And that set looks fantastic. And then this year, the Battle of Hogwarts is very different, and so is the Room of Requirement. You can't see all of it, but I've got the Grey Lady right there. And the Room of Requirement is honestly maybe like my favorite of these Hogwarts sets because it's just so epic. But I don't know. I love LEGO Harry Potter. It's my favorite LEGO theme. Like, it was a very dark time when those sets weren't coming out. And I really love Hogwarts. I love castles in general, but Hogwarts is like one of the most iconic castles. And this modular series, even though I don't love the modular aspect of it, I prefer the sets from 2018 to 2020 that were like a little bit more architecturally accurate to the real Hogwarts. Real being in quotes, of course, because it's not a real place. But you know what I mean. Like, I liked the architectural accuracy. These go for more of just like the vibe of Hogwarts, which is totally fine. But I mean, it also went back to the sand green roofs, and I like the sand green because that's what I know from when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't know. It's just all of the soaring towers and spires. Now that we're 3 years deep into this kind of style of Hogwarts, there's definitely a lot of different things that you can make. Like, there's a lot of towers, there's a lot of turrets. I'm very excited to do the official combination that LEGO recommends, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Before I go ahead and connect everything, here are all of the modules that you get. There's so many now. It's just kind of crazy. They're taking up my entire desk. You can see parts of my studio peeking out in the corners. There's a lot of roof modules, usually too many to actually fit into the castle. Ooh, I might have forgotten to take one off of the Room of Requirement. But you can see back there that there are some modules that just don't come apart and don't reconnect as easily as others. So the Room of Requirement back there is one of them. It's much taller than everything else and much more open air, but that is why it's one of my favorites. And then we have like the gift with purchase from last year. I think exclusive sets, and there are a couple of gift with purchases that are part of the modular system, but they aren't counted in LEGO's official like modular connection design. And that's because they're just not as easy to get because they were super limited edition. So I actually don't know where those are going to fit in with the Hogwarts that is suggested in this year's instruction manuals, because it just doesn't seem like they fit anywhere. But yeah, and then the Great Hall can't really be rearranged, and then Dumbledore's office is also kind of a weird footprint. But yeah, there's a lot of different parts of Hogwarts Castle here. I do have a bunch of minifigures scattered within as well. So I'm really excited to go ahead and finally build this massive ultimate Hogwarts Castle. All right, everyone. After like an hour and a half of arranging the modules, which took way longer than I thought, we finally have LEGO's 2023 recommended Hogwarts connection method. I'm in love with this thing. It is freaking amazing. But before we get into it, I just wanted to give you guys an overview because it is huge. It's very hard to, capture the entire thing in frame. So after this overview, we're just going to go in and look at the different sections individually. And I will show you guys what's left over in just a second. But the main thing I want to say when we're looking at this all together is that I love how this does create like a more architecturally accurate version of Hogwarts. I was just saying that, direct to consumer sets give us like the nice, or the micro scale direct to consumer sets give us the nice architecturally accurate details. And these sets give us a really great minifigure compatible Hogwarts. But this one kind of gives you both. You have some very recognizable things here. Like you have the Great Hall, you have Dumbledore's office. That tower doesn't look exactly like it does in the movies, but the general idea is there. Like the general rise and fall of the castle is really seen here. Okay, I hope this gets my point about architectural accuracy across a little bit better. I did grab my 2018 microscale Hogwarts castle to display with this, and you can see that they're a very similar size. The minifigure version is actually longer than the direct-to-consumer version, at least I think so. The big castle is still taller than this kind of mishmash one for now, but to me, like, this is really incredible to put them side by side like this. And this is what I'm talking about with like the general rise and fall of like the Hogwarts skyline, if you will. You have the Great Hall moving into like the taller tower. Then you have the viaduct. You have a smaller, like flatter roof section marked by another spike. I think it's like a little bit hard to see right now because it's so close together. Then across from the viaduct, you have a building with two towers, right? The viaduct entrance building, which is kind of replicated here. And then the rest of Hogwarts cuts off with the direct to consumer set. Like that's where it stops. But that's only half the castle. There's so much more beyond that. And that's kind of what you get a hint at here with this section on the end, where the clock tower becomes almost like the astronomy tower, with it rising up above the rest of Hogwarts. And to me, like that's just really cool. Like I love what the designer has accomplished here and how closely it mirrors what Hogwarts should actually look like, even though the individual buildings themselves aren't like actually accurate. So I love it. Here's one last glimpse of the two castles right next to each other. Please bask in its glory because it is literally impossible for me to get the camera any further back than this. But yeah, they look excellent together, and I'm sure this is going to be a long video because it's taking me quite a while to film already, and we haven't even gotten into the details of the combination yet. But I hope you guys appreciate seeing these side by side because I never move my 2018 Hogwarts display. While it's awesome that this summer's combination uses almost every single module from all of the Hogwarts sets from the last few years, I'm pretty disappointed to find out that it actually doesn't even use all of the modules just from the regular retail sets. I totally understand gift with purchases being excluded, so over on the left we have the Gryffindor Dorms gift with purchase from 2021, I think it was, right? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I think the dorms were from 2021, and then this staircase was from last year, 2022. And the staircase does not fit with this system whatsoever. Like it does still have the pins to connect in, but it's like a completely different footprint. So even though it's still technically part of this system, it's so different that leaving it out makes perfect sense. I wish that there was a way for it to be included, but I mean, doing the whole swiveling staircase thing at the same kind of module size with like the 8x8 stuff, I get that it wasn't possible. I just really wish you could integrate it. But the dorms are designed to be integrated perfectly. Like it's just the size of two 8x8 modules. And so I don't understand, or rather, I do understand why it's not included in the overall castle because it was such a limited edition item. It's not really fair to show kids like, hey, you need this to like make this castle, but it was only available for 1 month during like 2021 and now you can't get it. So that's fine. I understand it being left out and it's really easy to just add that yourself. But what doesn't make sense to me is this set, Fluffy's Encounter. This was a regular retail set released in 2021 with the rest of some of these Hogwarts sets, like the bathroom and the Chamber of Secrets. And so for it to not be included in this system because it happened to retire, I think last year, I don't really agree with that. I mean, it came out at the same time as a couple of these sets. It follows the same system, and so to not include it just feels kind of weird. And then on the right, we also have the first flying lesson set, which isn't included, but that was like a Kohl's retailer exclusive in 2021. So again, at least I can understand that a little bit more. But basically, no matter how much I like this overall combination, I am going to have to make my own because I want every single Hogwarts module to be part of this system. But let's go ahead and get a closer look at some of these areas of the castle. So over on the left, we have the Great Hall, which is just left intact from the Chamber of Secrets set, and you do have the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets all the way on the left. And then I really love how you get this approximation of the courtyard in the middle of the Great Hall, or I mean in front of the Great Hall. This is just a really good look. It's built using like a courtyard section from the Sirius's Escape set, and then several parts of the Battle of Hogwarts set. And so I do have Harry and Voldemort battling it out over there like they do in Deathly Hallows Part 2. They kind of have to be shooting into the air because that space isn't long enough for them to be shooting their spells directly at each other. But I still just love how you get a little bit of courtyard here. You even almost have like the boathouse entrance approximated down here with a couple of pillars, and I've got another Harry minifigure there. I really need to like populate this castle with more minifigures, to be honest, because right now I pretty much just have the ones that came in these sets, but I have a whole bag full of Harry Potter minifigures that could like live around the castle. So I don't know. I mean, I really like this combination. So I think I'm going to try to kind of keep it like this when I add those other modules in. But the point is, I have a lot of minifigures to add. But yeah, I love that you have a little entrance into the castle, and you know, it's just nice because again, an entrance isn't something you normally see in a minifigure compatible castle, even when you combine them. Then you have the viaduct, and so I've got some more Deathly Hallows battles happening on there. It's a very thin viaduct, but it still looks excellent because it's got the archways and everything, so I'm very happy with that. We have Dumbledore's office back here, and you can even see the entrance on the Griffin, which is kind of like it's under Voldemort's wand. It's right there. But that's the statue that rotates around to let you up into Dumbledore's office. And I love that that you can just kind of like move it around to any of those doorways. And I think it looks really great. Then you have some just more sections of the castle. I'm going to get like kind of into that viaduct courtyard a little bit in just a second. You have the hospital wing right there with the white windows. You have the Sirius's tower or Sirius's escape tower right here. I don't love that. I think I'm going to replace that with the tower from the Fluffy Encounter set because I kind of want it facing like more towards me. I don't like how it's angled off to like the right side of the castle because Dumbledore's office is already angled off to the right side, and so to have that one angled as well, I just don't love it. I kind of want it to be facing me head on. So that's something I'm probably going to change. I also have a few owls flying through the air, which I think really adds to the atmosphere. We have Colin Creevey up there. There is an entrance into the whole viaduct building, which I'll show you guys in just a second. But finally, we have like this whole little almost astronomy tower-like section using the Room of Requirement and then like the last little courtyard from Sirius's Escape. And going up here, I love how the clock tower kind of becomes the astronomy tower. And again, it's just so fun that everything is modular because that turret is a section from the Room of Requirement that you can just stick on to the end of the clock tower, and now it has like the same number of spires as the astronomy tower. So that's why I love this combination model. I mean, again, I liked it in pictures, but just putting it together in person is something else entirely. We'll move on to the interior in just a minute, but first I kind of wanted to show you a little bit more of an up-close look at the viaduct. So actually, maybe these two minifigures need to come off. So like I said, it kind of creates like this little courtyard. It is attached using Technic pins, or just one. It like attaches right in front of this section from the Battle of Hogwarts set. And I really like that because at first I thought, like when I was putting this together, this was very hard to put together from just the pictures. But when putting it together, I thought it didn't connect to anything. And it doesn't connect down here. And you do have some angling. I really like the angles that you get because this is the base of the Dumbledore's office set, which can hinge, as you can see in the corner. And then you also have like the hinged parts of the not astronomy tower of the hospital wing. So it creates a really nice curve, and it also makes it super easy to kind of change up the look of the castle. So I like this little courtyard that you get. I like how you have another entrance into the castle down here. I think that that's pretty cool. I don't like this section being on the floor. Like, that's really a tower section with all of the windows. There shouldn't be that many windows on a ground floor. So I don't like that module being there. I might swap it out. But yeah, you've got Neville in front of the doors into what's kind of the viaduct entrance building. And again, like, to me, like, this whole section of the castle looks fantastic, considering that it's just cobbled together from a bunch of different sets. I'm really happy with how it looks. And then going down to the base, you can actually just take the viaduct off by just kind of grab it. It just slides off really easily. And then this is like the Great Hall's clock tower courtyard thing. And that's not really an entrance to the castle, but it is kind of like the perfect thing to just cover up and pretend like it's not there, just because you need the viaduct to lead into a doorway. So I'm very happy with how this combination has gone together on the outside, but let's go ahead and turn it around, which I think will be very difficult, and talk about the interior. Surprisingly, I actually managed to turn this entire structure around without everything breaking and without actually having to disconnect any of the sections besides the viaduct. I did have to hold like the entire room of requirement side like with one hand while I spun it around on this desk. But if you have like a larger table, this is definitely easy enough to spin around. It's not easy, but I also thought it was going to be much worse. It's really helped by the fact that you have so much like give with all of those areas that can kind of move in and out because they're hinged, you know? But there's a ton of stuff to do in this castle. It looks so fun. There's like a bunch of different rooms to explore. So I'm just going to take you guys through the entire thing. I don't really care if this video becomes 30 minutes long because I just really want to talk about this really cool combination that the designers have come up with. So I guess we'll go ahead and start at the base. Like I said, there is an entrance to the castle, but unfortunately it's back in that corner and it dumps you straight into the Chamber of Secrets. So it's not really somewhere you want to be. I've got Ginny lying there by the bottom of the slide, which then connects into the library. So it's not really like a nice, smooth transition. Um, I mean, there's not really a better way to do it, I think, because you really do need those hinging sections. But you do have the entrance to the chamber on this side. And, you know, we'll just pretend that when you enter the castle, you come up to the next level where Harry and Voldemort are fighting outside. Moving up, you have the Great Hall, which still looks fantastic. I have, like, not touched anything in here since I bought this set in 2021. So I've got Dumbledore at his lectern. And then we have nearly headless Nick, like, just swimming around in the rafters. Flying around. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And then, sorry, everything's kind of dusty and I can see a cobweb. But if you lift that up, you've got the Sorting Hat up there. So that's a cute reference. And I really do like this Great Hall. I think that it's pretty perfect for play, and I definitely would have loved it when I was a kid. Next to the Great Hall, well, you can exit to the courtyard. You can just see Voldemort kind of through the cracks. But you also have Lockhart's classroom for Defense Against the Dark Arts, where Luna is currently fighting off some Cornish pixies. Let me see if I can't get us like a little bit of a better look in there, because this whole section is kind of angled. But yeah, I really like this area as well. I think it's a great classroom. And then if we just go up to the next level, where I'm going to need to raise the camera, we have Dumbledore's office with Fawkes as a baby phoenix. And this is also another really nice room. And then going up another level, we have Filch and Snape guarding the pensive, I guess. And you even have Mrs. Norris, of course. And then at the very, very top level, that is like the topmost tip of Dumbledore's office. And you just have the Sword of Gryffindor being kept there away from everyone else. Moving left, we now have the library with Madame Pince over there, and I love all of the exclusive molds for Harry Potter teachers, I have to say. Like, I love Madame Pince's hat, I love Madame Pomfrey's hat, who we'll see in the hospital wing, and then I even love Hermione's little cat face in the bathroom here. Because yes, the girls' bathroom is above the library, and hey, it is a second floor girls' bathroom, so they got it right, because the ground floor, if you count that as the first floor, then there's the second floor girls' bathroom where some students are engaging in polyjuice potion mistakes. What I don't like about this is that it's not over the Chamber of Secrets section. which is where it should be. And I don't understand why it's not, to be perfectly honest. This is an 8x16 module, and so is the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. I don't understand why this isn't suggested to be placed there instead. Like, it would just make so much more sense. So that's a change I will be making, because this is what I don't love about the combination models. I don't love when they prevent you from, like, using the play features as they're intended. So what I mean by that is that here you have an opening sink that's supposed to open and like spit you right into the slide to the Chamber of Secrets. And it can still drop you down into the library, but it's not supposed to drop you down into the library. It's supposed to take you to the chamber. So I will be changing that. I do like the little roof section up here. It's pretty basic, but I like how everything is completely covered up. And then we do have Sirius Black locked up here, which is something else that I said I was going to change. So we'll see. I definitely want to play around with like the specific modules that are placed here, even though I like the general arrangement. And then we start getting into the hospital wing. So we have Hermione recuperating in a bed there from the events of Prisoner of Azkaban. And I guess let me just demonstrate how easy it is to move this thing, because I'm just going to let everything kind of angle itself out of the way while we take a look at the hospital wing. So this is the castle entrance coming in from like the courtyard that's created by the viaduct. And I love these moving staircases. Whoops, there goes Hermione's little privacy screen. I'm just going to put that back. That's what happens when you don't have studs on things. But I love these moving staircases because you can have them create a wall in front of the door, and then you can just spin it out to take you up to the hospital wing level. And I just like having a way to get from floor to floor. You know, I think that that's a nice thing to see in LEGO sets. So moving up, you have the hospital wing level. I've got Madame Pomfrey there with Harry and Ron. And like I said, I love that custom mold, or specialized mold. I mean, I keep saying custom, but they're not custom parts because they're official LEGO parts. But I love that specialized mold for Madame Pomfrey's hair and hat. And then I like how you do have like this is a good sized hospital wing. You know, I mean, heck, this is bigger than the Great Hall, isn't it? You have like 3 8x8 modules, or I mean, I guess the Great Hall is like 3 8x8 modules technically. But yeah, it's 3 8x8 modules with 3 different beds, and this is just like one of the most detailed areas of the castle. And it's something that we don't usually see in Hogwarts sets, so I really like how it's placed in this combination, you know, how it's kind of in the middle, how it adds in all of that angling. This is just probably my favorite area in the entire combo. Then moving up to the roof, you have Colin Creevy, and then you can put someone on a broomstick, or I put an owl on that trans-clear flight stand. And then in this turret, you just have a little scroll, and I don't actually know what that scroll is supposed to be, because it's been a while since I built whatever set that module came in. And then if you go back down, you can see Lockhart's office, and I said from the outside that I didn't love having this be on the ground floor, and I really don't like it. To me, the ground floor is for entrances, or like the library is fine on the ground floor, but I don't think it should be an area for teachers' offices. So I'm not going to show it too much because I have reviewed this set already, but he's sitting in there, he's got his wig, he's got his pictures, he's got his autographs. That's all well and good. Now, getting into like where the viaduct entrance opens up is a little bit difficult. Like you can't really see in there, but that's where the doors open, and then there's some stairs down. And then on the ground level next to Lockhart's office, that's just the blocked off entrance with that kind of clock sticker from the Great Hall courtyard. And then you do have a little bit more roof up here. I like the angling. And then we'll see like the last little tower section on the other side after we look at the Room of Requirement, which is one of my favorite Hogwarts sets in recent years. I think it's just a really, really awesome set. And the way that it's put into this combination, I think is pretty appropriate because it's kind of separated out from the rest of the castle. But because it's taller than everything else, it really gives a good height to this kind of like pseudo astronomy tower that's been created. So off to the left, we have the second part of the courtyard from Sirius's escape, and you have Hermione standing there with her time turner on, which you can't see, but I swear it's there. And then you have the Room of Requirement itself. So I've got Malfoy climbing up the stacked chairs. I have reviewed this set too. You have the Fiend Fire with the Basilisk. You have a Cornish Pixie. You have a bunch of stickers. And then I do have, like, in the corner, the Basilisk head is kind of blocking them. So maybe I'll just take it out. Whoops, I knew I was going to knock over that chair stack. But you've got Hermione with Blaise Zabini. I hope I'm saying his name right. And I'm glad I could still keep them posed up on the broomsticks, even like with things connecting into the modules. And I've got the same with Harry. Like you can just kind of see his back on his broomstick right there. I just love how full of stuff the Room of Requirement is. It looks fantastic. So many references to the movies and books, and the thing looks exactly like it should. And then moving up, I do have the Grey Lady just hanging around in this area with the sink. I think that's also from the Room of Requirement set. But yeah, she's just screaming to herself, I guess. I don't know. I wish I could find a better place for her. I mean, maybe she could be hanging out with Nearly Headless Nick in the Great Hall. I guess that would make more sense. So actually, she is going to get swapped out and then just placed right there in the Great Hall, and they can be hanging out together, awaiting the arrival of more ghost minifigures, because I really would love to see some more ghosts. So that's fine. Or I mean, I could have her flying around by like holding on to the top of Dumbledore's office too. This is what I say. Like this is what I mean when I say that I really need to take some time and place minifigures all around this thing, because a lot of these spaces would really come alive with more minifigures. You know, someone hanging out in here washing their hands, someone walking along the roof, someone reading the scroll. I do have like the clock tower stuff up here, so like that's where the gear mechanism is for the clock tower, and someone could even be sitting in there. You've got Hedwig roosting. So I don't know. I really want to put minifigures all around this thing, but that does kind of make it hard to connect sometimes if they like slightly stick out of rooms. Okay, and then getting into this tower is actually a little bit difficult. I did have to turn the whole thing around again, which I wasn't planning on doing, but oh well, it's done. I think I'm going to have to disconnect all of the major sections while I make my changes and then kind of put them all back together. So we'll see how that works, but over here we do have one of those sections from the Battle of Hogwarts, and then we have the other part of the Sirius's escape set where Harry's firebolt is being chained up. And then we have the astronomy classroom with Professor Sinistra. I don't like that being here. I don't like the astronomy classroom being like somewhere non-classroom related and like tucked away behind the Room of Requirement. So I think I need to switch some things around. So I'm going to see like where I'm going to put things. But the other thing that I love here is that, again, because the Room of Requirement is tucked away into a corner, I think the function to reveal it works really well. Because if you're out at this edge of the castle, it's kind of like, you know, if you just pretend that you can't see the interior, you come into like a supply closet area, you're like, oh, there's nothing here. But then if you know the enchantment, you can reveal the Room of Requirement and you can go in. So I do like that it's separated out from everything else. So I think some areas of the interior flow really well together. Others don't flow quite as well. But I'm going to go ahead and put in those other modules that the designers didn't include in the suggested connection and figure out how I can make it flow more to my liking. Okay, now this is the ultimate Hogwarts castle. I am thrilled with the display that I've created. I think it's really fun. It's a little bit less accurate to the real thing, quote unquote, than the official LEGO recommendation, which again is very surprising because I'm really glad that the designers managed to create such an accurate combination in the first place. But this one incorporates all of the Hogwarts modules that have been released so far, except for a couple of roof pieces. So I just have the roof part from the Fluffy's Encounter set, which is, of course, not really well lit because I'm just holding it up in front of the camera, and then one piece from the first flying lesson. But every other module is used, and I'm super happy with how it came out. There are a couple of areas that I wish were a little bit different. Again, there's just some flat areas, but we're going to go ahead and zoom in and take a look at them now. So my design keeps the Great Hall and Dumbledore's office part intact, but I did add the girls' bathroom right below Dumbledore's office so that you can still have that kind of dropping into the Chamber of Secrets function. And then next to it, I put the Fluffy's Encounter set along with the Devil's Snare room, which again, you'll see in the interior, but so I also kept that function intact. And then I put a part of the first flying lesson. You can see, or I mean, you can't really see, but there's another part of the first flying lesson, like below the viaduct entrance building. And then I do have staring us in the face the Gryffindor Dorm's Gift with Purchase, which I think is kind of the worst looking Hogwarts section from the outside because of like those big black bars that go down. That's actually to hold the chocolate frog cards, But yeah, I don't love that look, but also it still does have like lattice windows, and so that matches with the lattice windows for the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom and Lockhart's office, which I have moved back up, and I put the astronomy classroom on top of that. So this whole section, like this module upwards, that's all pretty much kept intact from how it was in the Chamber of Secrets set. And I chose to keep it because I do think that like the black lattice windows just look good paired together, and that is kind of the bulkiest of those turret builds. So I just like the way, again, it kind of rises and falls. And then I do have a couple more owls up there. I added a roof piece from the first flying lesson over there with the like knight's statue. So I'm super happy about that. I also put part of the Fluffy's encounter set right next to it. So that creates like an airier, more open room, and Hermione's in there with the harp that puts Fluffy to sleep. And then on top of it is where I put the tower that Sirius is locked up in. I wanted this to be a little bit separated from everything else. You can kind of see right into the jail cell, but I really wanted Sirius to be locked away from everyone because that's how it is in the movie and the book, right? Like he's in one of the highest towers, really secluded. It's like a big thing to get him out and to help him escape. And I mean, obviously, this isn't quite like that because he's still surrounded by other stuff, but it's kind of like as tall and lonely as I could manage, like in between everything else that I was trying to keep intact. But the section that I really don't love is like right here in the middle. It's just like going from the girls' bathroom, which is very plain, to the Fluffy's encounter set, which is very plain, to the Gryffindor dorm set, which is very plain. I don't love that. Like it's like the most boring, it's the three most boring modules, and they're all like just one after the other. But if you want the features and everything, this is really the only way to do it. Also, it really helps that it's offset by everything around it, because when I was putting the sections together, I thought it was going to look really bad. But you know what? Dumbledore's office is so unique. Lockhart's stuff is so unique. And then, of course, with the viaduct being in front, kind of pulling focus from the buildings at the back, I think it does work a lot better than I expected. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. The only other thing that kind of bothers me is just, again, how flat, like, the two sections right next to each other are with the office and then with Fluffy. It's very flat. And again, that's because they're plain and kind of boring exteriors. But all of the other exteriors have, like some windows coming out of them, some archways, and those two things just feel very like bleh to me. But at least you do have like that tiny little window poking out of the girls' bathroom. If you didn't have that, it would be really terrible. But I think the Fluffy's encounter set is kind of like I think it's the second worst module after the Gryffindor dorms one, because even though it has some stickers, it is really boring. And so I really wish that the designers had created more interesting 8 by 16 module exteriors in 2021, because that's when all three of these sets come from. Unless, again, I don't think I'm wrong about the Gryffindor dorm set coming in 2021, but they are the three most boring modules. They're from the same year, and I appreciate the designers like really innovating to bring us amazing things in subsequent years, but those three still kind of drag this down just a tiny bit. But the last thing I want to talk about on the exterior, or actually the second to last thing, is the viaduct. I had to lengthen it because adding a whole section in next to Dumbledore's office made this like very different from the official combination. So I actually just added the entrance from the first flying lesson set in between the two sections of the viaduct. And it looks really good to me. Like it's another entrance for the castle, which I like. So now you have an entrance to the Great Hall and an entrance there, and you have another entrance in the courtyard. And I just think that this is a really cool look. Personally, I like it quite a bit. You can also like move all of this stuff out. So like you can hinge this out more so that you get like kind of more of a look at the buildings in the corner, but then the viaduct can't stretch anymore. And oh, also it's breaking. So yeah, so then the viaduct kind of just goes to nowhere, which is why I didn't kind of present it like this in the first place. But, I think either one really works. And then finally, the only other change I made was all the way at the end here. I have to be careful not to drop my microphone, but I did add the other gift with purchase set with Hermione to the end behind the room of requirement. And again, we'll just take a look at that when we look at the interior right now. Okay, this time I did have to disconnect the modules to turn everything around, but it was pretty seamless. I just broke it right between Dumbledore's office and Fluffy Encounter, and everything worked out pretty well. So let's go ahead and see what I've changed. It's not that much, so hopefully this video will not get any longer. So starting once again in the Great Hall corner, you can see that I've put the girls' bathroom where it's supposed to be. So now when you lift up the sink, it's very kind of hard to get in there, but now when you lift up the sink, you will drop directly down into the Chamber of Secrets like poor Ginny. So that's great. I'm very happy that that works. I really like this interior flow. It's still on the second floor. Oh, sorry. Forgot I was still zoomed in. It's still on the second floor. It is a little bit awkward that it leads out to the courtyard, but whatever. I also just realized that I forgot to move the Dumbledore's office panel. That is still on the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, and it should be somewhere closer to Dumbledore's actual office. So I'm just going to pop that out, and I will put it somewhere later. Next up, I'm really happy to have Fluffy's encounter exactly where it should be. I think he's actually sleeping in the wrong direction right now. He should be facing Harry, but while I have him up, you can open up the trapdoor, which Harry's currently blocking, but you get the idea. You can open the trapdoor and then fall down into the Devil's Snare, which is appropriately in the dungeons near the Chamber of Secrets as well. And Fluffy, I really need you to just get into this room and stay there. He has fallen out so many times while I've been filming. I also put the trophy room down there because the trophy room seems like it would be kind of tucked away, not in the dungeons, but close to the dungeons. And I also think it's pretty appropriate to have it next to the library, because I think that is where you would find a trophy room too. Moving on to the Gryffindor dorms, I've placed that above the library, which I don't think is accurate to the movies at all. It's supposed to be in like the big tower next to the Great Hall, but I did not want to make that section any taller. I could have, but I don't know, I just wasn't really liking the look. So that's why I placed them in the library, or above the library, I mean, and they are right next to the hospital wing. So I don't know. I don't love this interior placement for them, but it's not the worst thing ever. I do prefer what we have going on here, where now you kind of have all of the classroom sections just stacked up. And I honestly can't believe that this is all of the classrooms that we get in any of these sets. But I guess most of them do focus on like non-classroom areas of the castle, which is fine. There's still like a lot of fun stuff to do. But you know what I just realized? We don't have a potions classroom in this modular system. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see a modular potions classroom that I could put down here like with the dungeons. So I hope we see that in 2024 or 2025. And I hope that this modular theme continues that long, because while I didn't love it in 2021, as you can tell from how long this video is, I'm really loving it now. So we have the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. Above it, we have Lockhart's office, and then just a little like rampart to watch out from. And then at the very top, we have the astronomy classroom, which makes much more sense to be at the top of a tall tower. So I'm happy with this. Although I want Professor Sinistra to be holding her wand down, because it's not like she has to attack anyone right now. Then moving on to the right, we have that little rampart section with the knight statue. That is something that I really love in Hogwarts, like all of the knight statues, so I'm happy to include it here. And then we have Hermione with the harp that puts Fluffy to sleep. So that's the one thing that's kind of far away from where it should be. Although I guess I could always just move the harp to like that roof above Fluffy. But yeah, I do like this little open air atrium area. It's sticking out over the hospital wing. I think that that's appropriate. You know, you recover from being sick and then you want to go get some air. So I like having it there. And then, of course, we have Sirius's prison tower on top, which I already talked about liking the placement of. And then let's see if I can move this thing or if everything's going to break. Is it going to be okay? Let's just pretend like it's going to be okay, even though I can definitely tell something is starting to break. But anyway, in this section of the tower, I've put the part from the Fluffy's Encounter set. It's the divination classroom. So I guess not all of the classroom sections are right next to each other, but they're close enough. You know, I kind of like this flow where you can go from Defense Against the Dark Arts, walk past the statue, walk past like this little open air balcony, and then get to the divination room. So I think that that works pretty well. Then you come out to like kind of sketchy areas of the castle above the Room of Requirement, which again, I think that's appropriate because the Divination Classroom was super hard to find in the books. It was like all up in the nooks and crannies of the tower, and that's what this feels like. You know, it's the weird areas. You see some of the structure of the roof, you see this weird tap thing. You get up top and there's like the inner workings of the astronomy tower. I like the way that this works, and of course the Room of Requirement is still where we left it. And then the only other change is putting the gift with purchase from 2022 down here. So you have Hermione waiting to go up some stairs. This doesn't really work. Like, I mean, this is just kind of out of place. I like having it included, but this is really the kind of thing that should be in the center of the castle, not off by the Room of Requirement. And you do have like the portrait of the fat lady over there, and she is supposed to lead into the Gryffindor dorms, which she currently is not. I mean, I can't. I was going to say I could just pop that panel out and then move it to the dorms, but the beds in the dorms actually prevent those like spaces from being used. It could be a little bit better, could flow a little bit better. But like I said, this gift with purchase, by virtue of just being such a weird shape, it doesn't fit very well with everything else. So I really love it. I really wish it integrated with the rest of the castle a bit better. But anyway, that about does it for the 2023 Hogwarts combination, connection, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely the ultimate Hogwarts model. I really love it. I'm going to have a separate comparison video with the 2018 Hogwarts Castle set coming out pretty soon after this one, maybe even like a day later. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But as you can tell, I'm sure that this is a very long video, as all of my videos lately have been. But I really loved like getting to play around. This probably took me like 4.5 hours to film in total, just because of how long it took to rearrange the different sections of the castle. And this is definitely not going to fit on my shelf. There's not enough room for it. This is about 40 inches long in its final configuration, and I only have 33 inches of space. So I am going to have to get a little bit creative, but I'm really happy with what I came up with, and I wish that I could display this thing in full. Now I'm going to take some time to pose up a bunch of minifigures in the interior and just really make this like a lot of fun and as alive as I possibly can. I might be doing like an Instagram reel or YouTube shorts video that'll show off a little bit more of the interior once I've posed up those figures. I haven't decided yet, but maybe keep an eye out for that too. Thank you if you watched all the way to the end. Please leave a comment down below letting me know what your favorite area of my combined castle is. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com. I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.